Sit back, relax, and join me
Here are
as we
some results from a search.
Kito. Hey everyone, welcome back to another video lesson in Mathematics Grade 10, and today we will be talking about coordinate proof. Sit back, relax, and join me as we discuss coordinate proof. And before we start, let's have a warm-up. So we're going to apply yung distance formula, midpoint formula, and Pythagorean theorem. So number one, find the midpoint between 0, 2a and 2b, 2c. So midpoint. Let us recall kung paano kunin yung midpoint. So let's get the x-coordinate, how we are going to do that. We add the x-coordinates of the two endpoints, 0 plus 2b, or divide it by 2. So that will be 2b divided by 2. And then 2b divided by 2, that is equal to b. After that, to get the y coordinate of the midpoint, you add the y coordinates of the two endpoints, 2a plus 2c divided by 2. So that is equal to, you factor out 2 in the numerator. Ang natira na lang sa loob ay a plus c. And then divided by 2. So we cancel that one. The answer is a plus c. So the coordinates of the midpoint will be b, a plus c. So let's have example number 2. One leg of a right triangle has length 12 and the hypotenuse has length 30. What is the length of the other leg? So in this case, we apply yung Pythagorean theorem natin. So in a right triangle, if this is a right triangle, and this is 13 and this is 12, ano yung other leg? Let's name it as x. So the square of the length of the hypotenuse is equal, the square of the length of the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the squares of the two legs. So simplifying, we have 169 for 13 squared, which is equal to 12 squared, 144 plus a squared. So by addition property of equality, 169 minus 144 is equal to a squared. So that is now equal to a squared, that is 25. Then we squared both sides, cancel natin yon. We consider only the positive square root of a since we are talking about length. So a is equal to the square root of 5. So the answer is 5. And your 5, 12, 13 is an example of Pythagorean triples. Let's have another example. Find the distance between 0a and 0b provided that b is greater than a. So mas malaki daw si b kaysa kay a. So yung distance, let d be the distance. That is the square root of, this is your x of 1, y of 1, x of 2, y of 2. So x of 2, 0, minus x of 1, 0 squared, plus y of 2, b minus a squared. So 0 minus 0 squared ay 0. So ang natira na lang, b minus a, the quantity squared. Cancel natin yon. And the distance is equal to b minus a. So that's the distance. So we're done. And now, let's define what is a coordinate proof. A coordinate proof is a style of proof that uses coordinate geometry and algebra. So the first step of a coordinate proof is to position the given figure in the Cartesian plane. So you can use any position, but some strategies can make the steps of the proof simpler. And yung first step nga natin is we are going to position yung ating figure. Ito yung guidelines natin on how we are going to position our figures on the Cartesian plane or coordinate plane. So first step is use the origin as vertex or center of a figure. Second, place at least one side of a polygon on an axis. And then third, if possible, keep the figure within the first quadrant. And then fourth, use coordinates that make computation simple and easy. Sometimes using coordinates that are multiples of 2 would make the computation easier. So let's have an example on that. So yung dapat alam natin and how we are going to position yung ating figure sa Cartesian plane. Kasi very important ito sa pag-prove natin ng mga statements. So position a square with a side length of 6 units in the coordinate plane. So dapat alam natin ano yung mga properties ng square na ating ipoposition. Yung square natin, equal sides lahat. Since yung length niya ay 6, then 6 lahat yung nasa sides niya. Another, meron siyang right angle. So we can position yung two sides ng triangle natin along the x-axis and y-axis. It will be like this. So ito yung triangle na square natin, and then dapat alam natin yung coordinates. So if we name this as A, B, C, D, since yung one side is along the x-axis and the length of one side of the square is 6 units, then the coordinates of point B will be 6, 0. And the coordinates of A will be 0, 0 since nasa origin siya. So it is 0, 0. Remember, may right angle yung square natin. Di ba, yung x and y axis are perpendicular. So right angle na yan. Okay? Now, what will be the coordinates of point D? The coordinates, since it is along the y-axis, 0 si x niya. And then, yung y niya, 6 units to from 0. So, 0, 6. And then the coordinates of point C will be 6, 6. Maybe your question is, sir, what if I'm going to position my square in this form? So, we have here yung y-axis. And then this is the x-axis. What if you are going to position your square in this form? So 6 units pa rin siya. What will be the coordinates of the vertices of the square? So this is A, B, C, D. So if this is 6, dapat equal and equal yan. So 3, 3, and then 6 yan, 3, and then 3. So the coordinates of A will be negative 3, 0. Coordinates of B will be 3, 3, 0. Coordinates of C will be 3, 6. And then coordinates of D will be negative 3, 6. That will be the coordinates of our vertices of the square. So what if I'm going to place it in the center? Okay lang. For example, that is x-axis, y-axis, and then you're going to position your square like this. Okay lang naman. Ang sa akin lang ay para hindi na tayo mag-involve ng negative kasi most students nagkakamali kapag may negative na involved. So, yun lang yung pine-prevent natin. But, okay lang naman. So, A, B, C, and then D. The coordinates, so kapag congruent lahat yan, yan. So 3, 3 lang yan. 3, 3, 3 yung length niya. 3, 3, 3. Ang ibig sabihin, the coordinates of C will be 3, 3. Coordinates of D will be negative 3, 3. Coordinates of A will be negative 3, negative 3. Coordinates of B will be 3, negative 3. Take note, yung point C nasa first quadrant, kaya positive yung x and y coordinates. Yung point D nasa second quadrant, so it will be negative, positive. Yung point A nasa third quadrant, so negative, negative. Yung point D nasa fourth quadrant, kaya positive, negative. So any of the three, you can do that. Now, let's proceed to another example. Position a right triangle with leg lengths of 2 and 4 units in the coordinate plane. So, right triangle ulit yan. Right. So, we can position yung two legs niya along the x and y axis. So, triangle naman. Yan. So, 2 at saka 4 units. So, you can position it like this one. So, 2 units dito, 4 units doon. And then the coordinates of this vertex will be 2, 0. And then this vertex will be 0, 4. And the other vertex is 0, 0. You can also position your triangle, right triangle, na baliktad. So like this. So 2 units yan, and then 4 units yan. So the vertices of that triangle will be, the coordinates of the vertices will be 0, 0. This is 4, 0, and then 0, 2. So bahala kayo on how you are going to position your triangle. Now, a coordinate proof can also be used to prove that a certain relationship is always true. No? You can prove that a statement is true for all right triangles without knowing the side's lengths. To do this, assign variables as the coordinates of the vertices. So, kapag may statement kasi, we are not going to assign values because that is true to a specific values lang. We assign variables for the lengths so that true to all yung ating proof. Hindi lang specific. So position each figure in the coordinate plane and give the coordinates of each vertex. So for example, rectangle with width m and length twice the width. So our rectangle daw, yung width niya ay m. Yung length naman niya twice the width. So it will be 2m. Ano yung property ng rectangle? May right angle din siya. Congruent yung opposite sides. So we can position it in this form. So yung width niya ay m. Yung length niya ay 2m. So the coordinates of the vertices of that rectangle will be 0, 0. Let's have this as A, B, C, D. So coordinates of A will be 0, 0. Coordinates of B will be 2m, 0. Coordinates of C will be 2m, m. And coordinates of D will be 0. Let's have another example. We are going to position yung right triangle with legs of lengths S and T. So, nag-position na tayo kanina ng right triangle pero may length na 2 at saka 4. In this case kasi, magkaiba yung S at saka T. Two variables yan na magkaiba yung length. So, we can position it in this form. So, the length of one leg ay T and the other is S. Pwede rin baliktad. So, pwedeng ganyan. This will be your S and that will be your T. So, the length here, the coordinates of this vertex will be S0. And coordinates of this vertex along y-axis is 0, T. And the other vertex is 0, 0. So, depende sa inyo. Do not use both axes when positioning a figure unless you know the figure has a right angle. Tama. Kapag ang pinoposition mo ay triangle lang, do not place yung two legs sa both x and y axis. Kasi triangle lang naman yung sinabi, not right triangle. Okay? Now, punta na tayo sa proving. So, prove that the diagonals of a rectangle are congruent using the methods of coordinate geometry. So, we have here a triangle ABCD. Ang ipoprove natin, si diagonal AC ay congruent kay diagonal BD. So, we can only say that the two diagonals are congruent using coordinate geometry if their corresponding length are equal. Ayan. So, first step natin, we are going to position the figure in the coordinate plane. So, rectangle siya. So, two sides can be placed in the x and y axis. So, we have this. And then AC, that's the diagonal AC. And then diagonal BD. So, we are going to prove that AC is equal to BD. Yan yung isi-show natin. But before that, step 2 natin, determine the coordinates. Ayan. Anong magiging coordinates ni A? Since nasa origin siya, magiging 0, 0. Okay. And then, By the way, mag-assume muna tayo. Let the length of AB be A. So therefore, eto A din. Let the length of AD be B. Therefore, this is also B. So yung coordinates na ng ating rectangle, vertices ng rectangle are eto. So 0, 0, A0, since this is A, this is also A. The length here is B, and this is also B. So A0, AB, 0, B. Okay, now let's proceed to step 3. So we are going to show now that AC is equal to BD. But before that, let's have yung coordinates ng A. So it is 0, 0. The coordinates of C are A, B. And then coordinates of B are A0. And then coordinates of D are 0, B. So by substitution, AC is equal to the square root of, this is x of 1, y sub 1, x of 2, y sub 2. So that will be A minus 0, the quantity squared, plus B minus 0, the quantity squared, which is equal to the square root of A minus 0 is A squared. Yan. And then B minus 0, that is B squared. So that is equal to the square root of A squared plus B squared. Now let's find the length of BD. So that is equal to, we consider the coordinates of B, be x of 1, y sub 1. Coordinates of D, be x of 2, y sub 2. So that is equal to the square root of 0 minus A, the quantity squared, plus B minus 0, the quantity squared, which is equal to the square root of 0 minus A is negative A, the quantity squared, plus B minus 0, the quantity squared, that is B squared. Now, negative A, the quantity squared, is the same as negative A times negative A. So we have A squared. And then B squared, so we have B squared. That is equal to the square root of A squared plus B squared. Since we have already shown that AC is equal to BD, then we can conclude that the diagonals of a rectangle are congruent. So let's now proceed to example number 6. Moana claims that the triangles on the coordinate plane shown below is an equilateral triangle. Do you agree? Justify your answer. So if you agree, then you need to show that the three sides of the triangle are congruent. Because equi means equal, lateral sides. So equal sides lahat. Okay? But if you disagree, you need to show that at least two of the sides of the triangle are not equal. Which means we need to show that AB is equal to BC, which is equal to AC. So first, we're going to find AB. So remember, yung distance formula natin, that is the square root of x squared. So 0 minus negative A, the quantity squared, plus A minus 0. The quantity squared, which is equal to the square root of 0 minus negative A, that is A squared, plus A squared, which is equal to the square root of A squared plus A squared, that is 2A squared. We can write this as square root of 2 times square root of A squared. So we can cancel that one, then this is A the square root of 2. So A the square root of 2. Next is we are going to find BC. So the same, we're going to use distance formula, that is A minus 0, the quantity squared, plus 0 minus A, the quantity squared, which is equal to the square root of A squared plus negative A squared. So that is equal to the square root of A squared plus A squared. So that is square root of 2a squared, and the same with this. Therefore, this is a the square root of 2. So, ayan. So, yung dalawa na, kung equal na yan, then we need to show na si AC na lang equal din kay a the square root of 2. But if not, then yung claim ni Moana, that is not correct. Now, let's find AC. So, AC is equal to the square root of a minus negative a, the quantity squared, plus 0 minus 0, the quantity squared. So that is equal to the square root of a minus negative a, that is a plus a, which is equal to 2a, the quantity squared, plus 0 squared. So this is now equal to the square root of 2a, the quantity squared. Cancel natin yan. That is equal to 2a. So this is equal to 2a. Since yung value ni AC or yung length ni AC is not equal to a the square root of 2 and it is equal to 2a, which means yung claim ni Moana is not correct. Instead, yung triangle is an isosceles triangle since two sides are equal. Now, let's proceed to example number 7. Show that the median to the hypotenuse of a right triangle is half the hypotenuse. So, in this case, the blue-colored segment na nakikita nyo, that is the median. Ito yung median. And M is the midpoint of the hypotenuse LG. So, we need to show that the length now of MC, which is the median, is equal to 1/2 the length of the hypotenuse LG. Yan. First step natin, we are going to position our right triangle in the Cartesian plane. So, we learned already na kanina that we can place it, yung two legs niya, along the axis of the Cartesian plane. So, we have this one. By the way, we use multiples of 2 for the lengths of the two legs. The reason? Because we don't want to have a fraction na coordinates. That's why we have multiples of 2. Malalaman natin yan later on with the coordinates of M. So, the coordinates of C will be 0, 0. Coordinates of G will be 2a, 0 since it is along the x-axis. The coordinates of L will be 0, 2b. And then the coordinates of M, since M is the midpoint of LG, then we apply the midpoint formula. So 0 plus 2a, that is 2a, divided by 2, that is equal to a. And then the y-coordinate of the midpoint will be 2b plus 0, that is 2b, divided by 2, that is equal to b. So the coordinates of M will be AB. Now, yun yung purpose natin para hindi mag-fraction. If we consider this as A and the coordinates of L will be 0b, then mag-fraction tayo. Magiging 1/2 A to, 1/2 B din ito. So, yun yung purpose natin. Next, we're now going to show that the length of the median is equal to 1/2 the length of LG. So remember, the coordinates of M are AB. The coordinates of C are 0, 0. The coordinates of L are 0, 2b. The coordinates of G are 2a, 0. So we consider this as x of 1, y of 1, x of 2, y of 2. So this will be 0 minus a, the quantity squared, plus 0 minus b, the quantity squared. Simplifying, we have square root of negative a, the quantity squared, for 0 minus a, the quantity squared, and then negative b, the quantity squared, for 0 minus b, the quantity squared. Take note, negative a, the quantity squared, is the same as a squared. So MC now is equal to the square root of a squared plus negative b, the quantity squared, is b squared. So MC now is equal to the square root of a squared plus b squared. Now let's proceed to LG. We apply also distance formula. So that is the square root of x of 2. This will be your x of 1, y of 1, x of 2, y of 2. X of 2 is 2a minus 0, the quantity squared, plus 0 minus 2b, the quantity squared. So 2a minus 0, the quantity squared, is equal to 2a, the quantity squared, plus negative b, 2b, the quantity squared, which is equal to the square root of 2 squared is 4, a squared, plus negative 2, the quantity squared, is 4, b squared, b squared. Then we can factor out 4, so that is equal to the square root of 4 times a squared plus b squared. So we can now write this as square root of 4 times the square root of a squared plus b squared. Square root of 4 is 2, the square root of a squared plus b squared. So that's the length of LG. So by substitution, si MC natin, sabi natin kanina, MC is equal to 1/2 of LG. MC is equal to the square root of a squared plus b squared, which is equal to 1/2 of LG ay 2, the square root of a squared plus b squared. It must satisfy yung equation natin. Dapat equal yung left side at saka right side. So square root of a squared plus b squared is equal to square root of, yan, kinancel natin yung 2 at saka sa denominator na 2. So a square root of a squared plus b squared. Since naipakita natin na yung left side ay equal sa right side, then we can now conclude that the median to the hypotenuse of a right triangle is half the hypotenuse. Okay, that's all for today, my dear students. So thank you for watching. See you again next week for another video lesson. Goodbye!